This episode is sponsored by Construct Tech Solutions.
So my name's Richard Stone. So I was in my first footing at 5 years old with my old man, which is, for context, 44 years ago. And I got the bug for construction then, like literally taking like all the bricks and the blocks and digging footings and like building something other than like with like Lego or Duke. Like I was like, this is like, I just loved it. There was just something in me that it was just like.
So why have you moved from that then to what you do now? What happened?
We got knocked for about £250,000 in my contracting company, and I was like, do you know what? This is just mental. Contracting is just a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And I've had coaches and mentors for probably most of my life, formally or informally. And one of the guys that I was working with was like, this is mental. Like, there's all these people that are coming into no, people don't go into trades because they think it's a dead end job. You're living proof that it ain't. But people go into property thinking that they're going to get rich because they don't understand projects and how to run projects properly. And through your CV, you can prove that it is doable. Anybody can do it. You just need a system. You need to get out of your head all the stuff that you've learned and put it into a product.
I forgot to mention something. This might be a bit of advice, but don't always go for the cheapest price.
Definitely. There's nothing as expensive as cheap advice. And there's always, you know, if you're racing to the bottom for the cheapest price, there's always going to be stuff that's missing.
Cool, back Jim. We're ready for you now, mate.
Welcome to the Construction Cogs Podcast, showing you the moving cogs of the construction machine. Yes, morning Richard. Thanks for giving your time up this Sunday.
No worries.
Sweet. So tell us about yourself, mate. Tell us who you are and what you do.
So my name's Richard Stone. So I was in my first footing at 5 years old with my old man, which is, for context, 44 years ago.
You old bastard.
Oh, don't. Yeah, you could say that. And I got the bug for construction then, like literally taking like all the bricks and the blocks and digging footings and like building something other than like with like Lego or Duke. Like I was like, this is like, I just loved it. There was just something in me that it was just like, yeah. And I've loved it ever since. I worked for a scaffolder and a landscaper when I was 11, loading out lorries and bumping gear around. Just loved the graft. But I think, so I was born in Birmingham and I left there when I was 8 because my dad got promoted. And I moved to Bristol, and obviously they talk like proper different from Birmingham to Bristol. So I got battered in school for the way I spoke.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just turned up at work and just grafted, people respected you for the graft.
Yeah.
So it became, and I now realise I've got an addictive personality for other stuff I've done later in life. But I became addicted to it because it was like if I went to school, I got bullied. If I went to work, I didn't get bullied. I got treated with respect. I got bought lunch, and I got like 20 or 30 quid in my pocket.
Yeah, I mean,
but
I think there is always an element of that in construction anyway. There's a fine line between bullying and banter, isn't there, anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the banter, and I still go on site. I've still got 3 sets of boots in the car. I'm still on site like probably once a week these days. And I love the banter and the crack, but it ain't the same as it used to be. It's a different world.
Yeah. I'll make you right. I mean, obviously, I'm up in the towers now, but I used to be a ground worker for many years, and although I get the banter now, it is different. It is different to when I was on the ground on the tools. It was much. It was sort of like a togetherness, like when you're in the gang. You know what I mean? The camaraderie when you're out there in the trenches and it's cold and it's shit and it's windy and everything. And it's horrible. Obviously, there's a little bit of tension sometimes, but there is an element of togetherness and sort of getting each other through it and that, which
teamwork.
Is good. Yeah, exactly.
So you don't see so much of that now.
I don't know. Do you not?
I don't know. I think it depends trade by trade. Like if you've got like a big groundwork firm and you've got like 20, 30 blokes on site, they're typically on day work. There's more camaraderie in that. Like bricklayers and chippies, like and dry liners and like the internal finishes, like they're all on price. It's more every man for himself.
Yeah, I think also nowadays is there's a lot more woke and PC stuff's come into it. So I think the younger generation softened a little bit without, without
Yeah, it wouldn't
disrespect.
last. It wouldn't last 5 minutes. What we set a hobnail boots and a donkey jacket
Do
and
you
get
know
on
what
with
I
it.
mean? You know what I mean? So yeah, there is an element of that where, yeah, maybe they can't take the crack as much as what it used to be, sort of thing. Yeah. So
Oh, I
what
remember
what
getting clumped by people.
did you?
I've got a proper like one of them around the back of the head, but it was
Yeah,
from a geezer who was like nearly 7 foot tall.
yeah,
Yeah, concrete finishing foreman, and I was doing. So I started out when I did my training at Langs as like concrete tech, like
right.
doing chain boy and concrete tech. So I was doing all the Q pours and stuff. And I had to do a slump test. We were doing like, I can't remember. It was like a mental pour. It was probably like nearly 1,000 cube. It was a big pour and a civil job. And I was fucking around with a temp rod, and I was just like pissing around with it, like sending to be like Harry Potter.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
geezer just went like, "Bosh, if you've got time to muck about, you can get down there on the shutters." But
yeah,
when he hit me, and I literally flew
yeah,
into the side of a concrete truck.
yeah. Okay, now that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Man, that was just like he would literally just pick people up and just drop them off the side of the shuttering.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be a little bit thick-skinned. I mean, I've had times where like, sort of falling off scaffolding onto my head and falling through garage
Mm,
roofs and that, and like, there's no sympathy. Everyone just laughs at you and like just takes a piss and
yeah.
don't live it down.
Mm. Yeah, you just get buried for it.
Yeah. So why have you moved from that then to what you do now? What happened?
We got knocked for about £250,000 in my contracting company, and I was like, "Do you know what? This is just mental. Contracting is just a race to the bottom."
Yeah.
And I've had coaches and mentors for probably most of my life, formally or informally. And one of the guys that I was working with was like, "This is mental. Like, there's all these people that are coming into that, like, no, people don't go into the trades because they think it's dead end job. Like, you're living proof that it ain't. But people go into property thinking that they're going to get rich because they don't understand projects and how to run projects properly. And through your CV, you can prove that it is doable. Anybody can do it. You just need a system. You need to get out of your head all the stuff that you've learned and put it into a product. So I worked with this amazing trainer called Tony Gargan, who I still work with now. Years later, I was chatting to her a minute ago, and she was like, "Right, you need to turn this into like a training product where people are on the tools, because people on site on the tools think that that's where they're going to stay. They don't think, well, actually, so I could be running this job. So
Mm.
actually, I could be running like 2 or 3 projects." So I spent a year. I took a year out. Pretty much did like 2 bits of consultancy. So like our household income went properly fast, but
Yeah.
it was a massive investment. And I spent a year writing that course, and we've just had our third anniversary.
You had what, sorry?
Just had our third anniversary.
Oh wow, nice one. Fair play. Fair
So
play.
yeah, so we've trained over 200 project people in project management.
Yeah.
Some of those are property investors that want to actually make money from property without actually using their own money, because loads of people think that you need money to be a developer and you actually don't.
Yeah.
Um, but some of them are people that have been on the tools in the trades and wanted to transition into project management. Like one of my guys was a chippy on 150 quid a day, used to hide under his baseball cap. He's now charging £750 a day as a project manager, and he's booked up for 2 years.
Wow. Mad.
So
Yeah,
that's, for me, that's legacy. Legacy is not about protecting your kids. That's just your job as a dad.
yeah.
Legacy is something different. Legacy is about, right, how can you give something back to the industry? Because it's been really good to my family, don't get me wrong. But I want to see it in a better shape than what it is. And I want people to understand that it can actually be a really good place to earn a really good living. You
Mm.
don't just have to stay on the tools like knee deep in mud and plaster and shit. There's loads of different careers out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I totally agree on the legacy as well. It's about making a difference in the world, and
Absolutely.
impacting people's lives. I want to go. So you touched on something interesting there, that people don't need to use their own money. We'll touch on that, but to go back, you said you got knocked for £250,000. How did that affect you? I mean, how did you recover from that?
We didn't. We had to put loads of our own personal money in, because the one thing that I was adamant was, so when it happened, we owed money to subcontractors. You know, we were a construction business. We'd got supply chain. We owed loads of subcontractors money, all within terms. And we had HMRC money. So we sold my wife's car. We took loads of our savings and put that back into the company to get all those subbies paid off. Which meant that when we did unfortunately hit the buffers, the only people we had money to was HMRC. All the subcontractors got paid because I've been a subby. I've been knocked. I know what it's like, and I did not want to put that situation on someone else. So, you know, yeah, we'd already for about a year because we grew the company and we'd got a really good order book. Like we've got about 3.4 million pounds worth of work secured when COVID happened. And then
Yeah.
literally every day it was just like job after job just getting cancelled.
Right. Well, without naming names, was it like a big contractor, not Joe, tier one?
So no, it wasn't. It was block management companies.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, we were a principal contractor. We were a tier one contractor,
Oh,
but
okay.
we were doing so external repairs and decorations projects, externals, we were doing common part for refurbishment, so like fire doors, all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And it was kind of like we got sort of trapped almost in this like pincer movement where Grenfell happened, all the stuff around that changed. So all these people were in blocks of flats that they couldn't sell because they'd got fire flammable cladding on, they'd got flammable decking, they'd got no fire doors. But we'd done loads of other work to loads of these buildings, and they're like, "Well, we've only got X amount of money. We've got to pay for all this other stuff."
Mm.
So they were prioritising paying that instead of paying for stuff they'd already actually
Yeah.
enjoyed the
Yeah.
benefit of.
Yeah. And I think the COVID in general and the Grenfell thing has made a huge impact on the interest industry anyway. Like with the regulations, got more stricter and everything. You know,
Yeah, massively. Yeah,
planning is a lot more difficult now, isn't it? Stuff like that. So.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's why partly why we've taken a big hit this year. There's so many people struggling to find work. This year
yeah.
has
Absolutely.
been horrendous.
It's not because the job's not out there. The problem is that you can't get through Gateway 2 and get onto site. So you can get planning permission,
Yeah,
brilliant, but you still got to get building regs. And if it's a HRB, like high rise building, that's got to go to central building control. And they're
yeah,
just massively under resourced, so they can't get those jobs through. I've got a mate who's got about 700 grand tied up in building regs, compliance costs, like design team costs, and he can't get through Gateway 2.
do you see it getting any better?
I think it will do with. I think it will once they realise the amount of resource they need to hire. The problem is, it's getting people to sit in those seats to do those jobs in the first place because it's a risky position.
Yeah, yeah, it is a nightmare. There's something's got to give though. Um, right. So yeah, you've been sort of how long you've been in construction for? Over 40 years, you say?
40 years, yeah.
And you've delivered over 500 million pounds worth of projects. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I read.
over 50,000 refurbs.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah,
What?
I've been fortunate enough to build and lead some big teams. You know, I sort of came off the tools and went into site management, then contracts management, then our QS was ill. So I got retrained in quantity surveying, which was was brilliant because then it just went,
Yeah,
because most
yeah,
construction companies are run by the commercial team, rightly or wrongly. And that kind of like lit the blue touch paper. But that company that invested in my training, like they see something in me, and I didn't understand it. I do now because I see this in people that I mentor, but they obviously saw something in me that I wasn't capable of seeing myself, and they
mm,
made a massive investment in me. And you know, I did work my absolute bollocks off. It cost me my first marriage, but I kind of felt compelled to like return the investment they'd made in me. But in return for that, obviously, I got promoted, board level, happy days. So you know, I'm not moaning. It was a really good career trajectory, but it did come at a price. But it did
yeah,
mean that I was in kind of like operations, yeah, done that, commercials, yeah. So I could understand both sides of that kind of like that glass line that sits in the middle of lots of people's projects, where the site team is saying one thing, but the surveyors are saying, no, we can't spend money. Hold on a minute. It's like having an accelerator and a brake. The site team want to go flat out, and the QS is going, well, hold on, I mean, that means spending money. Well, I can sit
It's-
there with both.
yeah. The QSs are the bane of my life, mate. I tell you. As a crane
Especially
operator.
when it comes to signing overtime sheets, I'll bet.
Signing the timesheets, mate. Honestly, some are okay. It used to be like the manager used to just sign them, like project managers sign them, but a lot of the time now it goes to the QS and they don't they don't know what's going on the ground. They don't understand all the
No, they don't.
politics. You know what I mean? So there's got to be a little bit of give and take. Like if I'm up the crane all day and then come at 5 o'clock last minute, say, Jim, can you stay like till 8 o'clock? We've got concrete coming in. Yeah, no problem. You got all that, and then so I'm happy with to do that. But so they want to sort of like pinch and fight over 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. It's like, come on, just play the game. Like we're all here to help each
Mm.
other out, you know. So yeah, um, yeah. So you help sort of like on big projects, but on small projects as well. So just the average Joe blogs who want to build an
Yeah,
house, an extension, or
yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. Even smaller than that, I've got clients that do like garage conversions and stuff,
Yeah,
like 10, 15, 20 grand jobs. Like my clients are not like now, my clients are not people building, not people typically building skyscrapers. They're normally people that are got a small building company, want to do their own development, recognize that they need to improve the quality of what they're offering to clients. Because the domestic construction market is so congested. And the big challenge with that was COVID because anyone could go and buy a van for a couple of grand, go to Wix, get a roof rack and a set of ladders and call themselves a builder. There's no bar to entry. So lots of the people that were doing general domestic construction work found it really hard because all of a sudden, like they've been trading 10, 15, 20 years doing good work. And then you get some fucker who's been furloughed, got a bounce back loan, got a bit of dough out of COVID, and next thing they set up as a building company because there's nothing to stop them doing it. So,
mm,
so lots of the clients that I work with, we look at their business systems, we look at their sales, we look at their marketing, we look at their offering, and we work with them over the period of like one guy I've worked with for nearly 5 years, and he's now doing like projects that are like 600, 700,000 pounds regularly. Before he was doing stuff that was 50, 60 grand, and not only is he more profitable, but he also gets to take off like he's had the whole summer off to spend with his kids.
mm,
So he's got a better quality of life as well. But he's also like him specifically. He's also now doing his own developments as well. So he's built two houses, just about to go on site with a scheme of 5 houses. You know,
yeah, yeah.
a few years ago, he didn't realise that that was possible.
Yeah, a lot. Well, this is the thing. There's probably not enough information out there for people to be educated on it all,
There's not at all.
and it's scary.
Yeah, it can be. And the thing is, it's not like none of it's difficult. I mean, I teach commercial property, and there's finance products out there now where if you've got a decent project, you can get that funded.
Mm.
But
So,
people think, oh, I need to be a developer. To be a developer, I need like £10 million in the bank. Well, you don't actually.
let's talk about that then. The funding. How do people do this without using their own money or borrowing or whatever? Then.
So they don't do it without borrowing. So they do it without their own money though. So they work with funders who will fund 100% of the build. But they look at what is the gross development value. So if you've got an office building that you're buying as an office that's shut, it's got not a lot of value in it. Convert that into apartments. What are the apartments worth on the back end? That's what's called your GDV, gross development value. So we look at what that is. Then we look at how much profit we need to take out of that. Well, that's got to be a minimum of 25% because it's developing. It's like, it's risky. You need to make decent margin. So we take that out. Then we take out the build cost. And then whatever's left is the maximum purchase price that we can pay for that building. And then we talk to the vendor and say, look, you might be marketing this office at 650 grand. But in reality, you've been marketing it for 3 years and nobody's rocked up with 650 grand to buy it. So it ain't worth 650 grand, is it?
Mm.
So then we'll say to them, well, look, here's the thing. What we can do, we can bring our value proposition, we can convert this into flats. And when they're done and sold, you'll get your 650 grand and you'll get a share of our profit. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, what? Okay. I can sell this now. I can get out of it.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, you can, but you can't get out of it yet. We need to do the conversion and sell the units. And then you can get out of it. But then you get to have a share. You get your price for your building, which probably won't be 650. It'll be a sensible figure because it's not worth 650, but it's what it's worth. And then we'll give them a share of profits as well. And then we use development finance to fund the build, and we then use private investors to fund the construction. And people say, when people hear the words private investors, they're like, oh my God, they imagine people in TM Lewin suits and like rolling around in Bentleys. This is not people like, this is like, I've got one client who's got 750 grand loan from two scaffolders in cash. I've got another client who's got 80 grand from a bricklayer. I've got another client who built a house in Leicester, and most of their trades just took deferred payment in exchange for the work. There's loads of ways that you can fund development without actually needing to go to a traditional bank.
Right. So would they go to you to hold their hand through this whole process, or is it just? Yeah. Okay.
So I teach them the project management part, the front end. So I've got a system called Projects, which is my IP, which is right from plan all through like design, research, outline, judge, engineer, control, test, and then sell. So I hold their hand. I teach them the system, and then some people want us to hold their hand all the way through. Some people are like, do you know what? I get it. Sweet, fine. Happy days. I'll crack on. But we also do offer like hand holding and mentoring and accountability and support, because some people are like, do you know what, this is scary. I need some support to be able to deliver this.
Right. So let's back up a minute. So with terms of the funding, where do they go for this funding? In simple terms.
So there's two parts to it. So we've got specialist brokers we work with for the development finance part, which is the biggest piece. But the brokers we work with also have access to private equity as well. So private investment, so you can get the whole thing funded. It's just got to stack up as a deal. And it's not got to be like crazily mental. It's got to make 25% profit because it's, development's risky. But any deal will stack up at 25%. It just comes back down to, what do we have to pay for the building? What's the building worth, or what's the plot worth? That it's worth what it's worth. The numbers don't lie.
So people ain't got to worry about credit checks and
No.
So remortgaging or putting a house on guarantees or anything like that.
No.
Right.
No. I mean, I had an IVA, but like when we had to shut the company, I had to do an IVA.
Yeah.
I've still got it. I've still done it. It's not about the person's individual credit. It's about, does the deal stack up? Because the developer, the finance provider is going to have what's called a first charge. So when you get a mortgage on a house, like your own house, the person that you get the mortgage from puts a charge on that property, which means you can't do anything with it until that mortgage is paid off. Development finance is no different, but the charge is put on the building that you're going to convert or the plot that you're going to buy. So that's the security. That's why it's so attractive to lenders, because it's a security-backed investment.
Yeah, sure.
So they're not so worried about whether you bounced your electric bill or whether you've got 3 mobile phones or 2 Sky bills or all sorts of other shit that comes out when people start looking through their bank statements. They're not bothered about that sort of stuff.
No, they just want to see the end product and
they want to see the deal,
what that's worth.
And also who are the people that the person's team is made up of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come to. So are they going to want to know that you're actually capable of producing this product at the end? You know what I mean?
Not are you capable, is the team capable?
Yeah.
So my mentees leverage my CV and my credibility to be able to get the funding.
Yeah.
Because they're like, right, that's the guy that's the project manager and doing the quantity surveying. That's him. Here's his CV. Here's all the stuff he's done. This is the person who's the architect. That's who the engineer is. This is who the fire engineer is. And that's the credibility that the lender's interested in, is who are the people that make up the team. Because it's that team that are going to be delivering the job. As the person whose deal it is, you're more like the CEO or like the leader of the team. You know, if you imagine like football, like Alex Ferguson, he was the manager. He ain't on the pitch playing. It's the players that are playing. That's what they care about. It's the people. Who are the people on the pitch that are going to do it? So who's the project manager? Who's the QS? Who's the architect? Who's the engineer? And who's the contractor? And they will have quite a big sway on who the contractor is. So I do a lot of comms and residential stuff. So taking like offices and splitting them into apartments, or like rural stuff, barns into nice period properties. And the type of builder you'd use to do an office in Manchester ain't the kind of guy that you'd use to do a barn in Sandbach or Congruent or Somerset or Norfolk. Do you know what I mean? It's a different skill set. Because if you're going to do an office, you know, it's also a different procurement model. Because if you get a main contractor that's going to do an office into, like, say, 20 apartments, like their model's typically going to be main contractor, they'll have maybe a QS and a contracts manager. They might have a site manager, and then everything else will be packaged up as subcontracts. They'll have a dry lining contractor. They'll have an electrician. They'll have a plumber. They'll have chippies. They'll have decorators. They'll have tilers. But that dry liner will probably have a metal gang, a tacking gang, a skimming gang, and a tape and jointing gang. If you were doing a barn in rural Norfolk and went to a local builder, they'll have all them trades directly employed for them, and their plasterer will be the geezer that does the boarding and the spreading. So we have the right model for the right type of project, and that's why lenders love it, because they're like, we get how you've de-risked this.
Yeah, yeah. So if I was to go buy a bit of land now, and I want to, or if I've got an house or something, and I want to do a project, build an extension or build an house, will you teach me how to price it? Or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
do you know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
I mean, I used to work for my cousin. We was ground workers, but every now and again he'd do the odd extension, and he always lost money on it because he didn't know how to price.
They do. Don't know how to price it.
Yeah.
So
what?
big part of the module in the training that we deliver is how to price it, how to
Yeah.
procure it, but also what contracts to use if you're in a residential and if you're in commercial, because they're two totally different things. So
Yeah.
we've got a whole section on that because we want people. And a big part of my why when I wrote this was I was sick of seeing subbies getting fucked up and folded up like a deck chair and bent over by QSs from main contractors because they don't understand the rules.
Mm.
If they understood the rules and understood the commercials and understood how to use a contract and what it meant, they wouldn't be getting shafted so that this QS could just get the latest bonus or the latest company car.
Well, this is the thing. This is another thing I was going to bring up with my cousin actually, because he was like a one-man band, but he went to price up a job for one of the biggest contractors in the country, right? I think it was something like 100 piles in this area for the groundwork. So they sent him this stuff about that thick to look through, right, for the pricing. And he's dyslexic, he can't read properly, so he took him around his mate's house and he's like, "Can you have a look at this?" And he just said to him, "Mate, don't go anywhere near this. They'll tie you up in so many knots and clauses and this, that, and the other. You ain't going to get paid, mate, honestly." So he had to walk away. He could have earned a lot of money, but he could have lost. He could have lost everything.
Yeah, but that's the thing, and that's so. We teach this on the training. Is like this, it's called the battle of forms. So I teach main contractors, but I also teach subcontractors. So if I was working with your cousin, I'd be like, right, price the work. Then price the prelims for the management and all the transport costs and all that stuff. And then we put together our terms and conditions and go, right, if you want to work with us, that's how you work with us. There are terms and conditions. Don't send me yours. I'm not interested. This is our terms and conditions. You've come to me and said, you're the specialist contractor. Can you help me by doing these piles? Yeah, of course I can. Here's my price and there's my terms and conditions.
Yeah. What about like all the get caught up in retainers and all that sort of stuff?
Retention and stuff. Yeah, so we set all that out in the terms and conditions.
Right. Okay.
Because it stops people getting shafted.
Yeah, it is a bit of that, isn't it? Because they caught like saying like, it's sort of like, "Oh, we're doing you a favour. This is how we're going to do it," sort of thing.
Sales psychology is massive.
Yeah.
Huge. It's why I love teaching subcontractors, because it's like it literally opens their eyes. I had a guy on a course it was January 2024, and it was a foreign guy. It was with his wife, lovely, lovely couple, and he was a labour-only roofer. But he was being sent the documents, but because he didn't understand what he was getting sent, he didn't know how to read it, and he was getting absolutely fucking gang raped. He might have 10 grand for some labour to do a job, but the geezer he was doing it for probably got 100 grand. But then he weren't even getting his wages off the geezer he was working for. Just getting royally shafted.
Yes, that's the thing. That's why it's scary, because the industry is set up to ruin the small man, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I did what I did, to try and change to try and flip the script a little bit and try and give some education back to people. And literally, we've just got CPD accreditation for my training 8 weeks ago, which is why the price is going up in January to align with CPD stuff. And when I was talking to them, they were like, "This is mental. You're literally giving people a construction management and a quantity surveying degree, simplified in a weekend. Why are you not charging 10, 20 grand for it?" I'm like, "Because then people wouldn't be able to afford it."
Of course.
But that's what it's worth. I'm like, "I don't care. Like, I want people to get the knowledge, and if it's so expensive, people are not going to be able to access it. I want people to have the knowledge to be able to protect themselves and get and earn and get to keep their own money.
So what sort of prices are we talking about? Can you talk price, or is it sort of like
Yeah, of course.
tailor made to each?
No, not at all. So the course is currently £1,500, but now it's CPD accredited. It's going up to £2,000 plus VAT from January the 1st.
See, that's not too savage, is it, at all, really?
Not at all. And we offer payment plans for people because we know that for some people, they might need to pay that over a couple of payments. So we
Yeah,
offer people to like split the payment into two if they want. So yeah, at the
yeah,
end, it's a whole. And the other thing with it as well is, unlike all the other training, we actually give all of the templates and all of the contracts and all the documents that you need to set up. You
mm,
get the whole thing. Like
yeah,
Sunday afternoon when you finish the course, you get sent the whole thing. So you
yeah.
don't then have to go and try and find, oh, where's the right contract? Where's the right form for this? Where's the right document? Like one of my guys literally did the course 4 weeks ago, so 75 grand on Tuesday morning.
Wow.
He's like, mate, this is the best money I've ever spent. He said, I would have got shafted by this geezer if I didn't know this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
That's
It's
why I
great.
love doing it,
Yeah,
helping people.
yeah. And like you say, they're not going to buy it. I mean, you might get sort of some people might be able to afford it if it was a lot more expensive, but you ain't going to make a lot of money because you're not going to have many people paying for it, and it's going to be sort of catered for the wealthy, really.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I wanted it the other way around. I wanted it so it reaches the masses.
yeah,
I
yeah,
want tradespeople to realise, you know what, actually, that fucking geezer in that site office, he ain't no better than me. I could do that job. I
yeah,
just need to understand the system. That's all I need. And that's why I wrote it, because
yeah,
it's helping people get paid, it's helping people protect themselves, it's helping people become their own developer, but it's helping people realise actually it's not project management isn't difficult when you have a system. The problem is it's invisible.
mm,
It's like anything. It's like somebody could watch your GoPro over your shoulder and go, "Well, it's fucking easy driving a crane, isn't it? He's just doing this." But
yeah,
they don't know what's going on in there to
yeah,
make you do that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
watching a bricklayer. It's like it's the intangible stuff that you can't see.
Mm, yeah.
And then once people understand that, it's pretty straightforward, really.
So can people do this? Like if they've got a full-time job and they want to start doing bits and pieces of development, can they do that on the side? Yeah. Or
Yeah,
is it no?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've even got an online version of my course because we get lots of people that are in jobs that can't take a Friday off work.
Mm,
Maybe they're a teacher, maybe they work in the like lots of our clients work in the NHS. They can't just take time off.
mm,
One of the things for people that are on the tools and in the trades is, they need to be on site. They need to earn their money. So
mm.
we've got an online version where people can learn it at their leisure whenever they want, and that's actually even cheaper than the course in the room.
But what about actually creating the project, like the building? So they might have to go meet a subby or something, or go meet a surveyor or whatever, but they can't because they're
So
working.
there'll be, yeah. So there's, to be brutally honest, there's not a massive amount of meetings you need to do. Most of it is online these days. Yeah, you might need to go and view a building, but there's people that you can actually get to go and do the viewing for you anyway.
Yeah.
You'll have to go and do a couple of meetings, but most probably, I reckon probably 99.5% of what I do is online.
Right.
Very little of it is actually physically going to site. And I'll be brutally honest, some of the times I go to site, I go because I want a site fix. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily. It's just because I'm bored sitting in the office. I'd rather go meet someone face to face. But you don't
Yeah.
need to at all.
Yeah.
Like I've got clients, they do meetings in their like in their lunch breaks. We have three days a week. I don't work during the day and I actually work in the evening because people want to have calls with me and it needs to fit around their day jobs. Maybe they're a theatre nurse, maybe they're in the trades and they're on site all day.
Mm.
One lady works in Tesco's. Different people have different jobs. So like my service is flexible to get people the results to fit in with their life.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. I suppose like things like when building control come down, it'll be the actual trades that are doing the
It's the
work
contractor that's doing that anyway.
that'll be meeting them.
It's the
Yeah.
main contractor that meets them.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, got that. So what are the most common blind spots you see when people start on their first projects?
Not understanding their role, and that is just to act as the orchestra conductor. They're not there to play the trombone or learn to play the tuba. They're there to just make sure everybody's doing stuff. But people will tend to kind of want to get too involved.
Mm.
And like,
Yeah.
oh well, why is that geezer turning up at 9 o'clock? Well, does it fucking matter? The main contractor's got a fixed price JCT contract that says they start there and they finish there and it's £1 million.
Yeah.
The fact I don't care that the dry liner's just walked on site because that ain't my problem. It's the main contractor's problem if he ain't finished on time. So stop sweating the small stuff.
Yeah.
Just focus on the bigger picture stuff.
I suppose they want to. Yeah, you get some control freaks sometimes, or you get people that think that they're going to get shafted or stuff like
absolutely,
that.
Yeah. So that's why we use JCT contracts to set stuff up properly and protect. And the reason we use them is because they're the best balance of trust. You know, they're a fair contract that's got representation from architects, from surveyors, from engineers, from builders. So it's a good balance of risk versus reward to protect the client, but also to protect the contractor as well.
Yes. I think that's in line. I was going to discuss that. You discussed a win-win basis philosophy. How to structure deals that work for both the investors and the project managers. So that's basically what you were just talking about there, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's got to be a win-win. There's no point. And I do see this a lot. I mean, we don't do it anymore, but we used to do post-mortem project management. So when people's projects is hit the buffers, and normally they got too much project at the end of the cash, and we'd get brought in to try and sort it out. And it's normally when people are trying to focus on shafting the contractor. They want Buckingham Palace, but they've got Bermondsey money. You know, it's a champagne lifestyle, but they're on a lemonade budget. And no, go back to the beginning, right? And this is why, my first stage of my training is called stage 0, because 0 is the most important number ever. You ask any millionaire if 0 is an important number, they'll all tell you the same thing. Well, of course it is, because otherwise I'd have a pound.
Yeah.
You know, but psychologically, there's some stuff we need to do in planning this before we actually start. And the more we spend, the more investment we make in terms of our time in setting up the right team and setting it up and planning it properly, the more successful the project is. If you go and look at most of the big blue chip contractors, why are their projects on time and on budget? Well, they're on time and on budget because they're planned properly and they're resourced properly. They don't start without the design being sorted out. They don't start without the cost plan being sorted out. And they don't start without a contract.
Yeah.
It's none of this is like rocket science. It's all pretty straightforward. The reason I've done what I've done is to distill all of that stuff from these big ISO quality management systems and just bring it back to, right, what do we actually need? What's sensible? We don't need a 10,000 word contract. We just need a simple 6-page contract that says, right, this is what you're doing. That's how much you get paid. This is what happens when I pay you. This is who's insuring what. And this is who's responsible. Contracts should create trust, not traps.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've just thought of something. So if I want to start a project without any money, my own money, who's taking the risk? Who's got the risk factor?
So some of the, obviously, if you're going to use development finance, they're going to want, they want your name on the loan. So you are the person and the business is borrowing that money. So you do that in what's called an SPV, so special purpose vehicle. It's a limited company, basically. And obviously, you're one of the owners of that. So, yes, you are taking a risk. Right. But the lender's the one that's lending the money. You've got reputational risk, you've got time and sweat equity risk, but the lender's putting the money in. So, there's a significant risk to them. And that's why they're so keen on understanding who you've got around you and who's on your team. Because really, it's who's on your team that's going to be accountable. Through having the right contracts with you and with your limited company, and sometimes even with the lender. I've got a couple of projects where they're big projects and the lender's like, no, we want a collateral warranty with a QS.
Yeah, it's interesting. Can you talk us through your 8-step system?
Of course I can. So it's called projects. So it's my own intellectual property. So it starts with P for plan. So this is around actually, right, what is it we want to do? What is our strategy? What's our objective? What do we want to achieve? So to give you an example, that might be we want to take this closed down doctor's surgery and we want to convert this into 20 apartments. So we look at what are the intended consequences of that. So the intended consequences are we're going to make some cash. We're going to create loads of new homes for people. So we're going to improve the local housing stock. We're going to take a tired building that's basically been squatted and been vandalised and turn it into something nice and modern. All sounds great. But we also, because I'm a QS, I look at risk management. we also try and look at what are the unintended consequences. So if we were going to take a tired, rundown old doctor's surgery that the NHS have sold to us to convert, one of the unintended consequences of that is that in the public's perception, there's now less doctor's surgeries. So we could end up in a situation where we might end up with like antagonistic like hassle from people in the local environment, for taking a building like that. So that's kind of like the plan stage. Then we look at the overall financial numbers like GDV minus what the profit is, minus build cost, what can we pay for it to make sure, like at a helicopter view, it stacks up. Then we do the next stage, which is called research. So this is around, okay, so it stacks up at a plan stage. Now we need to think about actually, what do we know and what don't we know, but we need to? So what surveys do we need to get? How can we de-risk our numbers? Like, what's our exit? Are we going to sell these apartments, or actually are we going to rent them out on like a assured short-term tenancy, or are we going to use them for like a high cash flow strategy like serviced accommodation where they're guests and not tenants? So we need to understand what our exit is going to be. Then we need to understand what the blockers are. So we won't have building control drawings at this stage. So that's a blocker. So we need to fix that. But we don't want to do that until the next stage. But we also want to look at what our red flags are going to be. So we talk to agents to make sure that if we put 10 apartments into the sales space, that actually there's a market for those 10 apartments, and are they the right size? So to give you an idea, if you're in Milton Keynes right now, 2 and 3 beds absolutely flying. 1 beds are okay, not so much. If you go to Luton and try and build a scheme with 1 beds, you'll still be sitting older than me 5 years' time. Because as of yesterday, there's 350 1-bed apartments in Luton for sale because there's too many of them. So you can't exit. So we would look at like detailed appraisal from them. Then we look at the next stage, which is O, which is outline. So that's when we would instruct an architect to put together, or an architectural technologist to put together like an outline scheme, just like basic concept drawings. And that's so that we can either secure permitted development, which is a fast track to planning permission in 56 days, or full planning permission, depending on the scheme and what it is that we actually want to achieve. Because some offices you can convert to residential under permitted development, others you can't. So then it's judge. So that's about actually, right, now we've got all of this information, we can make our judgment and go, yeah, this makes sense. We can move forward with this. We can get 4 houses on this field. We can take that Indian restaurant and we can turn that into a house and build 3 houses in the car park, or we can get that site and we can build 20 houses on it, making that final judgment. So actually, okay, yeah, this still stacks up. Because then the next stage at engineer that's when you get like your stage 4 building regulations drawings done. And that's when the cost of that stuff, that increases. Because you might pay like 2-3 grand for an outline concept set of drawings that your investor's going to fund. But when you get to the engineer stage, that could be 8, 10, 15, 20 grand. I've got a project at the moment, I've got 60 grand worth of design costs. So you don't want to get to that point without having you build on all of the yeses. The minute you get to a no, you stop. And the whole reason for that is because I'm not adverse to spending money on consultants, but I am adverse to wanking money up the wall I don't need to. So I don't want to be spending engineer level budget when I'm still at the control stage. So once we get to engineer, that's when we've got like full building regs drawings. That's when we can understand things like our Section 106 contribution, community infrastructure levy costs, all of that sort of stuff. It put together what's legally required called the pre-construction information. So asbestos reports, underground survey services, all of the information from a health and safety point of view that needs to go into a tender pack. So that's the engineer stage. And then we have C, which is the control stage. That's about actually when it becomes like a live construction site. From my client's perspective, most of that risk then gets passed off to the main contractor, unless my client is also the main contractor, which some of them are. Then it's kind of like, right, making sure all the pre-qualifications done, so we've got the right contractor with the right skills to be able to deliver that job. Have they got all the health and safety paperwork? Have they got the right drawings in place? Have they got the right site team? At what point are we going to value the work so that they can get paid? Are those provisions within the contract? Is all of that stuff set up properly? Then when we get to the end of the C stage, that's when the building's converted, or you've built the new dwellings. That's when you get like what's called practical completion. So at that point, you also need legally to have the O&M manual done, which is all of the user guides and the information to be able to operate that asset. So that'll be things like your as-built drawings, your electrical testing, your gas testing, all of your services, all of your instructions for your kitchen components, all of that sort of stuff. Then we have stage T, which is test, which is making sure the commissioning is done and all the final piece of paperwork you need for building control. So we've got a section on that. And then the final section is S, which is sell or serve. So that's the paperwork you need to be able to sell the actual assets. So it literally is like it's absolutely like end to end. It's literally from right, here's the right move link to right, I've sold this now. I've got my money in the bank.
Mm. So this is this part of that 1,500 quid you was talking about? The training aspect,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
okay.
that's the training course. Yeah,
right. So in terms of if people want you to hold their hand through a process, that is all extra.
That's extra. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and the reason for that is because when I wrote the training course, as I said, it was because I've got people saying to me, you need to get this stuff out of your head. So I wrote the training course, and the only reason that the mentorship and the mastermind came about was because people had done the course and like you need to tell me how much it is for you to mentor me for a year. And I was like, what? Like, because most training is you'll go on a training course and they'll spend 2 days pitching at you for the mastermind, and they'll spend a day delivering value. Whereas mine is like, here's 3 days training. If you want some help at the end, let's just have a conversation afterwards. Let's get the training done and give you the information.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got 4 different levels for that, depending on the size of someone's project. So what the way we did it is we costed out the fees of a QS, a project manager, and principal designer. We looked at the cost of all of those fees for 4 different template size projects. Then we looked at the cost of the mentoring, and then we divided it by 4, and that's what our price is.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned 3. So it's 3 days, 3 full days training. Yeah?
3 full days training. Yeah. If you do the live version. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can it be quite overwhelming? There's a lot of information to take in, isn't it?
It's a lot of information. So we've had probably, I bet we've had half a dozen people that have come away and gone, this is like, and you can see it from their reviews on Google, like, this is absolutely amazing. And then they'll start a project and they'll go, can I come and resit it?
Okay.
So we've just like the last course we did about 4 or 5 weeks ago now. 3 of the people on there have resat it once before, gone off and done deals, and they're like, do you know what? I want to come resit it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes people do.
Yeah. And but you've got a WhatsApp group as well, phone a friend thing, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What's that about?
So phone a friend is where people for a low ticket price can just and these are like people that are like want to do investment, or maybe they're like a small builder. They just want the ability to ask a WhatsApp question every now and again.
Yeah.
They don't want formal mentoring or formal accountability. They just want to be able to have the ability to go, Stoney, what's the answer to this?
Yeah, it's good. I bet I imagine you get like some panic 2 a.m. questions, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I get loads of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, it serves great because even with great planning, things can go wrong, and it's important for people to have the tools and the confidence to adapt to any situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned a 25% profit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that includes contingencies for things that arise, like unforeseen costs and problems.
Yeah, so we have 2. We have a contingency on the build cost, and then we have a contingency on the professional fees as well.
Right. Yeah, because things probably always go wrong, don't they?
Yeah, of course they do. Things evolve, things change. It's why when we're doing if we're doing a new build, we spend a lot of money on getting all the right testing done. If we're doing a conversion, we spend a lot of money on getting the building stripped out back to a shell by a demo strip out firm. We don't get the main contractor to do the strip out. We have a 2-stage process where we get it stripped out first, then we finalise our tender documents and we put in anything that's changed. Then we actually get the build tender done.
Right.
For that exact reason. So we start off with like a 10% contingency, but because of the way we procure stuff and because of the way we package it up, we can then drop that to 5% once we go into contracts.
Yeah.
Because we know at that point that the builders, like, we've done the pre-qualification, we know the contract is, we know they've got the minerals to do it, we know they've got the financial backing to be able to do it, we know we've got a good set of drawings, that everything's in the spec. So there shouldn't really be very many surprises. You know, we've got the building stripped out, we know whether it's got rack concrete, we know whether the roof sluts, we know whether it's got ASI in it, we know what the utilities look like. You know, we've done all the ground bearing capacity testing. You know, we've done all the stuff as much as practically possible to de-risk it.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like you got it all boxed off.
Do you know, never say never. That's why we still have contingencies. But, you know, it's not my first rodeo. We
Yeah.
do, there's a lot of stuff we do. I mean, it was really bizarre. I had a guy, I'm going to do my course in June. And when he booked it, I messaged him and I was like, I've just got your booking through, but can I just have a call with you? The guy's 65 years old. He's a chartered surveyor. He's like, he's been in the game longer than me. And I spoke to him on the phone. I was like, what's the crack? Like, well, have you booked it? And he said, look, he said, I'll be really honest. He said, we want to expand our consulting business. Like, my kids are like coming into the company. He said, I could create all those templates, but I've seen what you're providing. The templates are worth 15 grand. So if I pay 1,500 quid to come and sit in a room with you and I learn two things, but I get all the templates, then it's worth it.
Mm.
So for me, it's a no-brainer. And I was like, okay, I like your bollocks. I think that's funny. I've just thought, you cheeky, you saucy fucker was what I thought. But fair play to you, do you know what I mean? I was like, happy days.
Yeah.
So he came in and came in. He was one of my dad's mentees.
Oh, right.
And he was like, I know your dad. And my dad was like, what is he coming to learn from you for?
Yeah.
Halfway through day one, he said, do you know what? He said, I've made more notes on this than I've ever made on a course.
Well, this is the thing. This is where complacency comes into play. You doesn't matter how good we are, how experienced. You can always learn off of anybody.
Every day's a school day. With the right
Anybody,
mindset.
even if it's like a labourer, you can learn something from them.
Yeah, of course you can.
If you're paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. People who pay attention.
Yeah, if you just got to get rid of the ego. There's a lot of ego in the game.
That's
Yeah.
do you know, that's one of the first things when on day one of the live training we say, right, you all need to go back out, and as you come through, just put your ego next to the door.
Yeah, this is
Because
it.
this is a safe space where we want people to share what's happening for them.
Yeah.
Because as much as there's, like, obviously I've got slides, I've got props, I've got stuff I talk about. A lot of what I deliver by way of practical experience and story from something that's either gone well or gone wrong in a project from me and projects I've been involved in. But then I make it relevant to the people in the room, which is why when people come and do a resit, they're like, this is different. I'm like, but it's going to be slightly different. The content's the same, but the delivery will be different because it's a different group of people. Depends on the balance of whether they're investors, whether they're builders, whether they're trades.
Yeah.
I've had all sorts. I've had architects. I've had the head of planning for two different councils come and know project management.
Yeah. Nice. It's good. It is good. Yeah, because it's just weird. It's just weird industry, and it also macho and like my dick's bigger than yours, or a lot of it's kind of I think some of it is insecurity.
Yes.
So they have to put on a bit of a front. You're not going to do me. You're not going to screw me over. You're not going to treat me like a mug, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, I like to build up a rapport with everybody, and I do like to learn from. Even if it's sort of like just taking notice of what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, what I can do in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the insecurity comes from the fact that most people are self-employed.
Yeah.
So they don't know. I mean, we had to rearrange this, didn't we? Because your work schedule and life changes,
Yeah.
Well, I did a lot of research on this during COVID because I did a lot of panel discussions and talks on Clubhouse. And the two biggest contributory factors to poor mental health in construction and male suicide are actually the lack of employment security, because nobody knows, like, the amount of people that get a message on a Sunday night saying, oh yeah, that job's cancelled tomorrow, and they've got no work for the following week, which is appalling. So that's one of the big things that leads to like the insecurity. Another thing is like poor welfare conditions.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, actually. I've got a mate, he's a crane operator, but he's a slinger as well. He's had no work for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've been lending a bit of money here and there, and he phoned me the other day. Said I've got a few days, and then he phoned me yesterday. Said I got up, got the train all the way to this place. Literally, just before I got in there, they called me, so our job's cancelled. And he's like, mate, I'm literally just about to walk through the fucking door. What are you doing? And I'm really sorry, mate. And this was going to take him through till January. And he's like, oh, mate. And like, it's just, he can't pay his bills. He's having his car taken away from him and can't eat.
It's
So
awful.
it is, it's that is what it is. And also, obviously, you know, if you're sort of subby, people trying to shaft you, that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
it's brutal out there, man. It really is.
And it is, and it's big. Some of these firms that are going to the wall, and a lot of that comes back to ego, though, because if the job was priced properly in the first place, they'd have the right money in the cost plan to be able to pay people on time for this
Yeah.
for the work that's been done. And it's never the person that's getting knock's fault normally.
Mm. Yeah. No, that's right. I agree. I agree. Um, you mentioned things that go wrong earlier. So in all your years, you must have seen some absolute disaster projects. Without naming names, what's the sort of worst project situation you've had to rescue?
The worst, probably had to rescue a contractor that was in way too deep on a project they didn't understand because they'd
Right.
lied in their bid documents because they
Oh,
were
okay.
desperate to secure it. And this happens a lot. I mean, if you go right back to like the very early stages of the Grenfell inquiry, that was absolutely rife. People's CVs didn't represent the person that was actually the real human being.
Mm.
It was like a game of guess who. Like, who is this person? I remember watching the interview with Richard Millett, the QC interviewing the site manager, and he was like, can you just like let me know if you remember like who this person is? And he read out the geezer's CV, and he's like, I've no idea. He's like, that's you.
Right.
It's like, I've never done any of that stuff. And there's so much of that that goes on in construction because,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a project-based business delivery model. So, in order to keep your business afloat, you need to go and secure work. Well,
Yeah.
no two buildings are ever the same. So you get people that, I'm sure when they built the Shard, people were like, oh, have you ever built one of these before? And they would have been, yeah, we've built one of these before. Well, they haven't. No one's ever built a Shard before. Like every project has its own unique challenges, but people overstate their skills. And to be really, really blunt, people's egos are writing checks that their brains and their ability cannot cash.
Mm.
But there's not enough pre-qualification for people to check because commissioning agents and developers are too quick to go, oh yeah, we need to get on site, we need to start. And if they actually spent the money spent the time in that plan stage going, is this the right contractor? Okay, so you said you've done this before. Well, show me 5 projects you've done before and let me go and talk to 5 clients.
Mm.
But people don't do enough pre-qualification. They
Yeah.
assume that what someone's saying is true.
Yeah. Thing is, we all lie on our CV a little bit, don't we, to get a job?
Everybody does it.
Yeah. What's your take on people pricing a job to the bones to secure it?
Mental.
Yeah.
It's an absolute race to the bottom. It's dangerous. It's stupid, and it's not serving anybody. It's not
Mm.
serving you because you're not going to, people doing that model, there's always going to be things that you miss. There's always going to be things that cost a little bit more. I mean, I was one of the guys in my mastermind group on the top levels just sent me an email from Travis I think it was from Friday, like 7, 8, and 10% on materials like in January. But he's got projects he's starting in January that he bid 6 months ago. Like, where's that come from?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
haven't got margin baked into your project, you're going to be in a world of shit.
Thing is, it creates a big knock-on effect as well because then you're rushing, you're trying to get it done in half the time, which is going to create mistakes, cause
What's it?
accidents. You're going to be putting pressure on your team, which
Yeah.
ain't good for them or their mental health. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's a big no-no for me. I've been in, not myself, but I've been on the back end of that situation, just being pushed and pushed and pushed, just so they
Well,
can
if
make a bit
you
of
end
money.
up, yeah, and the problem is that the money runs out, and it's never the ground worker normally that gets knocked because they're normally first in and get
Yeah.
paid. It's people like the decorator, the tiler, the mastic man, the cleaner, those, and the second fix chippies. It's those trades that come later in the program.
Mm.
They get their work finished, then they submit their invoice or their final account or their application for payment. By then, they've got too much project left at the end of the money because everyone else has been paid or anybody else like that's coming out of the prelims.
Mm. Yeah.
Because if there's stuff that's missing out of the scope, The woman in accounts in head office, she's still getting her wages. The HR team has still got to get paid for. The company insurances have still got to get paid for. The managing director's Range Rover is still getting paid for, isn't it? All that stuff's still getting paid for.
Yeah.
But it's the subbies that they're the ones that get absolutely ironed out. I've got a message on LinkedIn yesterday from a guy that I was fortunate enough to work with up to about 7 years ago. Really lovely fella, top finance director, really properly knew his onions, really switched on, didn't take any shit, but didn't dress it up either. He's just absolute down to earth, just a really nice guy to work with. And he was like, "Oh, do you know so-and-so have gone to the wall?" I was like, "Fucking hell, no, I didn't. Wow." And I went on Company's House, I looked at the administrator's report, and it was like literally 2 million quid of like subcontractors basically get like, didn't know, not HMRC, all subbies getting paid. Like one geezer's been in it for 330 grand. The geezer's a plumber. Like, how the fuck's he bouncing back from that?
Wow. No, you're not. It's not happening, is it?
And
Yeah.
it all comes back to having a good system for making sure that stuff's priced properly in the first place with the right risk in it and the right contract.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I used to work for a firm, and it just built an extension for some bloke in Chelmsford. And they sort of like, I don't know why, but they sort of said, we're not paying you. It's 25 grand, just knocked in for 25 grand. And he's like, well, even then, it's like, how do I come back from that? So he had to sort of fold and then start up again, do something else. So I had to leave and go with someone else because he couldn't afford to pay us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just by some bloke just deciding not to pay him for whatever reason, I just don't fancy paying you, mate. Yeah, it's not happening.
And this is the thing. I mean, I see this a lot with like people when they first join my mastermind, and then once we've rewritten their terms and conditions and changed their offering, it doesn't happen. But like some of them are like, "Oh my god, yeah, like this geezer tried to knock me, this person." Like I've had it like literally 6 weeks ago. One of my mentees building an extension for someone, a geezer's site agent for some big developer. He's like, "Oh, this is a snag." That's like, no, it ain't. He's like, come out of all this bullshit about, "I'm not paying for this, I'm not paying for that." No, mate, you fucking are paying for it.
Mm.
Read the fucking contract. RTFC. Not RMC, RTFC.
So what do you do in that situation? Do people find it too much hassle or too costly to go through civil courts to get their money?
So yeah, so there's I've done a lot of disputes, and we've got ways that we can send communication out to people that let's just say it encourages them to settle.
So you send the heavies round, yeah?
I've only ever had to do it once.
Yeah.
No, twice, to be fair.
Right.
And neither time was actually, that was when I worked in other businesses. I never did it when it was my own company.
Yeah.
Used debt collection agencies and stuff, yeah, but not. I've only ever had to like go bandit country twice.
Yeah, my mate's done it. My mate, he had a little firm, and he's just rocked up in the office and just like grabbing computers and stuff. And what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm taking my money, but what are you going to do about it? And they're like, it's a big fella. It's like, oh, all right then. Yeah.
It galvanizes them to pay.
Yeah. I see on your website, Pitch Club. What's Pitch Club?
Pitch Club. Oh, wow. So Pitch Club. So one of the challenges that people really struggle with is actually being able to really like quickly and effectively explain what they do. So this was born out of my project management mastermind. So lots of people were like, got really great businesses, but didn't know how to like explain what they do or attract funding or just attract opportunity. So we did a session at Mastermind one day when literally I had the lady that does our sales and marketing, or part of our team, Nicole, and me and one of the guys on my team who's a hostage negotiator, and my wife put together an event called Pitch Club. So people came to us for the day, and in that day we worked with them to build like their confidence and their credibility, and then they left with an elevator pitch to be able to effectively explain like who they are and what they do. But they also left with like a pitch deck, so when they come across the site, they could put together some basic slides to say, "This is what I'm working on. Would you be interested in investing in it?" So it was just like a 1 day training. So the guy that I said about earlier that's now charging like $750 a day as a site manager, he did Pitch Club. That's where his whole confidence just like literally elevated. And every single person who did it always keeps saying, "Oh, when are you doing another one? When are you doing another one?" I want to be able to tell people that that's where they need to go.
Right. So what do you do? Do you get people up in front of everyone talking and that sort of stuff?
We
No,
give people the ability to do that if they want to,
right.
but people don't have to because. And again, it's small groups. This isn't like 50 or 100 people. It's like 15, 20 people. So it's Chatham House rules. It's proper psychological safety. So
Mm.
we get people to just like explain like who they are, where they're from, what they do, and then we just start chatting about communication styles, learning style preferences, how people talk, how people communicate information, and the part of that is so that they get to talk to each other around the table, but so that I can understand a bit about them.
Yeah,
And then in the afternoon, we go around the table and say, right, would you like to stand and deliver your elevator pitch? Only one person did it, and everyone else was like, no, I'm all right, thanks. So I created one for them.
right. Yeah,
Literally, just like I just literally shut my eyes and then went and gave them, built them an elevator pitch that
right.
they could then go and use at networking events to go and either raise money, talk about opportunities. So Steve, like his elevator pitch was, I've been on the tools for years. I've transitioned into project management. I'm now managing projects for other people. He was at a networking event in Hampshire, and a guy went, "Why don't you come and look around one of our sites?" He then knew somebody that needed a project manager on a job in London. 6 weeks later, he's on £750 a day.
Yeah, so people do need that confidence. I mean, I can do this. I can talk on YouTube to the camera all day long. I can talk in a group of people, but for me to stand up in front of people and do that, it'll be like my worst nightmare. It
It
really
was
would.
my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
I used to be physically sick at the prospect of it.
Yeah, definitely. And often you get as well, like obviously this is a lot we talked about earlier, egos in the industry, a lot of macho people.
Yeah, completely.
As soon as I stick a camera in front of them, they're like, no, 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 no. No, no,
Yeah,
I don't
happens
want
all
to
the time.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Is that intense as well?
It's okay. I found it. I had to have 2 days off afterwards
Oh,
because I
right.
found it so draining of my energy. Because I'm basically taking my energy and putting that into other people.
Yeah.
Um, I found it absolutely draining. It was one of the highlights of the year for me, though.
Yeah. So is it yearly?
So we are going to do one next year. We've only ever done one, but it is one of the things that's on the roadmap
Oh,
for next
okay.
year. We're going to do
Okay.
one next.
Fair
It's just
play.
one day.
Fair play. Nice, nice.
So
Right. I understand values are the heart of what you do, right? In an
mhm.
industry that sometimes has a reputation for cutting corners, it must be hard for people to maintain those values while staying competitive.
Yeah, I see it a lot, especially so I'm a non-exec on 6 businesses. So and I'm in and out of a lot of companies. And I see a lot of you go into a company and like you go in their reception, there'll be a big thing on the wall that says these are our values.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So I was like, and over the course of a day or a week or whatever, I'll talk to people around the business and say, so how does innovation come out in your business? And they're like, what do you mean? Like, well, it's one of your company values. Like, how does innovation show up in your workplace? And like, mm okay. To give me an example of when somebody last came up with a new way to do something or something new that you could do. And like, well, I wouldn't want to do that here. Jesus,
Yeah.
I get shot down in flames. And like, but one of your values is innovation. Innovation is creating an environment where we can create new ideas and feel safe to bring forward new ideas. So how can you have a value of innovation
Yeah. Yeah.
if people are shit scared because the geezer driving the firm or the woman driving the company is an absolute fucking nightmare. You can't possibly do that.
Nah. Well, I see it all the
But
time.
values are like, I mean, our business is tiny, so our business values are really just an extension of our family values.
Mm.
But every year, right, one of my coaches, I sit down with them and go through and go, right, okay, what is our value ladder? Because having the same, like our values don't very often change, but the order of priority that they show up in can sometimes change.
Yeah. I see it all the time, especially in terms of safety, when you've got all these safety things all over the walls and you must do this and
Yep.
you must do that. And then you walk across site and they're pulling you up because you ain't got your glasses on. But then one of the management phones me and says, Jim, I know it's windy, but please, can you do
Yeah.
this for me? Because I've got to get this done so that I can get the steel fixers in tomorrow on a Saturday. I'm like, yeah, but I'm winded off, mate. Oh yeah, but can you do it for me, Jim? I was like, which one is it? Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, happens all the time.
I'll
Putting
quote you
program before safety.
Well, this is it, and yeah, profit before people as well. I like to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'll quote on your website again that you pride yourself on truthfully delivering the right practical advice.
Yeah.
Have there been times where telling the truth has cost you business or cost you work?
Yeah, multiple times. Multiple times. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
I get people book a call with me and go, I've got this deal. Can you work with us on it? I'm like, okay. And then normally, I'll give you an example. I was speaking at an event 2 weeks ago. Guy in the audience, like big audience, like 150 people. Guy was like, I know you do non-exec work. Will you be a non-exec advisor on this project in Manchester? I was like, how big is it? He was like, it's 250 apartments. I was like, okay. Now, for me, the film that is 6 figures, like multiple 6 figures, because to put my cock on the block for something like that is not a mean feat. And I spoke to him, and about, I don't know, 4.5, 5 minutes into this conversation, I was like, fucking, this geezer's got no chance. Like, this is like way too big. But it'd be like me trying to rebuild America. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just mental. It's never going to happen. Now, I could have took his money and said, yeah, do you know, and he was there. Like, he's got his black Amex card, and he's like, can I just pay you? He wanted to pay me a 33% deposit of the fee. I was like, no. This project is way too big for you. There's no exit guarantee whatsoever. This isn't going to work. It's not going to stack up. And somebody said to me, well, why didn't you just take his money? That's like mass, because the guy who was with introduced us. He was like, but your fee for that would be huge. I'm like, yeah, it would, but it's never going to work. So that geezer's just going to be like, oh, well, you've took my money and now I can't do the project. So I have it happen loads. Like, I say no to more stuff than I say yes to. And the reason I say no is because it doesn't stack up, or I don't want to work with a person because I think, you know what, we're just not aligned. A lot of it is people trying to get into projects that don't work. And, we could charge them a lot of money to do upfront appraisals. One of my power team is an amazing planning lady. We were talking to someone literally just last weekend, and they were like, basically they'd spent 47 grand with consultants on this deal, and it doesn't work. And we were like, this is mental. And they were like, can you find a way? If you can find a way to do it, like, we've got investment, like, it's not a problem, the money's there. I'm like, but it doesn't work. Yeah. They should never have took the money off you in the first place.
It's where integrity comes into play. You're doing the right thing. Yeah, because when I see it, I see it on your website, those words, and it reminded me actually of Tom Cruise, funny enough. I think Matt Damon speaking about this. He's on YouTube, and he said Tom was telling him about this because he does all his own stunts, doing everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he has safety guys come in and talk to him, a consultant, and he said he was doing these stunts, and his safety guy come in and said, Tom, you can't do this because of this, because of that. So he goes, so I got another safety guy, and it's a bit like that. So I imagine it is like that. So
people will always find someone that will say yes. It's I've got two other big people in the training space send their clients to me,
right?
Because they know that, like, ethics is my values, and they know that I'm not going to do something that is going to put that person in harm's way. Not in a million years. It's just not. It's not worth it. It's just money.
Fair play. I see. We sort of met on TikTok. I see you do a lot of TikTok videos on things that happen and safety and stuff like that. Then it's good. I like it.
I do.
Some of them are quite funny, but it's serious stuff, really. Where'd you get it all from?
I don't know is the honest answer. I've got a lady called Rebecca that finds it for me.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get sent a lot of it.
Yeah.
I get sent a lot of it, which I then just send on to her. I don't know where she gets it from, but I know there's no shortage of supply.
Yeah.
And there's always there's always people that want to cut corners. And, I believe anybody on this planet is genuinely good until they prove otherwise. And I have to think that they're just doing it because they don't know a better way. what I'm starting to learn from social media, and it's why TikTok's great for education, is actually there are people that just don't give a fuck. And said, you know what, that's not safe. Here's a safer way to do it. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, but it would be way safer. No, mate, I've always done it this way. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay, clearly I don't then, yeah? All these qualifications means exit and decades of experience in the industry, both on the tools and in construction management. You crack on. Good luck to you.
Yeah, they do come unstuck eventually.
Yeah, well, the thing is, ultimately, and quite often it's never that person, it's somebody that's working for them on their project.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think's wrong. You know, that scaffolder that fell on the Axis Europe site recently, that's 650 grand they got fined. That geezer didn't know any better.
Mm.
But the construction management team should have done. The business should have known better.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for that sort of stuff.
No, that's
like,
right.
None of this stuff's new. CDM ain't new. Health and Safety at Work Act ain't new. Work at height regs ain't new. None of it's new. But people choose not to comply with it.
Yeah, it's reaching obviously like the bigger companies and the tier one countries. They've got all these safety things in place, but it's normally like your smaller companies, one man bands, in it that
they're lawless, mate.
Doing these things. I mean, I've done some crazy stuff myself in the past.
We all have, yeah.
You know, just to get things done, and
yeah,
it's just the way it is, isn't it? If you can get something done quicker and easier, you'll do it, won't you?
Yeah, until such time as you're raspberry up in a wheelchair and you can't fucking walk, and you think, oh my god, do you know what? Like, was that 5 minutes extra time really worth it?
Yeah.
Did I need to just be in the pub 10 minutes earlier?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually the answer is yes.
Well, yeah, there is that.
That's it, mate. Pretty much it. To finish off, what's one piece of advice you'd like to leave us with? Something you'd like to stick in people's minds?
Doing it better isn't difficult.
Right.
It's just a question of, do you know what? At the end of the day, none of us know really what we're capable of. Yeah. But do we stop when we're tired, or do we stop when we're finished? Because we're all capable of more. You know, look at like somebody trapped under a car, and then somebody manages to lift that car up, like with what seems like superhuman strength. It was in that person's DNA. They just didn't know they had it.
Yeah.
You know, one of my mentees is just about to hit his 150th tri-medal this year. Like, he didn't know he had that in his locker a year ago. Like, we're all capable of stuff that we don't even realise. And we all owe it to ourselves to kind of, I don't want to be like really woo-woo, but like be the best version of ourselves.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. All times. And always trying to be growing, I think.
Absolutely.
I forgot to mention something. This might be a bit of advice, but don't always go for the cheapest price.
Definitely.
Why is that?
Because there's nothing as expensive as cheap advice.
Yeah.
And there's always, you know, if you're racing to the bottom for the cheapest price, there's always going to be stuff that's missing.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. I mean, I've got that sort of mantra with anything really. Whenever I'm buying something on Amazon, you know, I won't go for the cheapest one.
Yeah.
Might go for the most expensive, normally mid-range. Yeah. So, lastly, where can people find you?
So they can find me at, I'm on LinkedIn as Richard Stone. I've got a website called projectmanagementblueprint.com. My personal website's richardmstone.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, any of the social media platforms. Drop me a message and let's have a chat.
Wicked, mate. I love it. I love this. Do you know why I love doing this? I'm always learning from people, learning so many different things from people. So this is great. I've learned a few bits and pieces here, and you've made it apparent that it's not really as difficult as what it might appear to do this.
Yeah, most people want to make it look difficult because they want to keep it for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
cool.
Power of it. Nice one, mate. We enjoy your Sunday, whatever you're up to.
Yes, and you.
And we'll keep in touch.
See you soon. Take care.
Man. Cheers, mate.
See you later.